Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I'm talking about a subject of a question that people usually have, and is, do you know the return of investment in this type of property, and especially on ROI properties? And most of the time when they have that question on a specific project or property, I do not have the answer, because you need to know specific information about the area or project to know that information. And on my last video, I showed a project that they're going to start developing in the Punta Cana, in the Vista Cana area specifically, and the project name is La Bata. So in that project, they did a projection of return on investment for that project. So I found that very interesting, and I want to discuss that today. So for people that are interested in this project and want to invest, they did a probability of analysis for this project. So I'm gonna put it on the screen, and I'm explaining each point that they did on this analysis. So now we are going to talk about the projected probability and the return of investment analysis for short-term renting, which is Airbnb. We're going to talk about the first item. And in the first item, we have the price of the villa, which is $268,900. Then we have estimated taxes and legal expenses. Remember, all this that we are talking about is an estimation of what you should pay, and it is $10,756. So where you get this number from? And these numbers come from the 3% that you have to pay when you buy a property. The 3% is the value of the property, and the 1%, which is the IPI taxes you have to pay here for the government. So that is 4% of the cost of the property. They make that number. So moving to the next point is the furnishing, and they are estimating that you will spend $25,000 to furnish the villa, and then the total investment will be $304,656. So moving to item number 2, which is down payment and financing. Down payment, which is the 50%, the price of the villa, the taxes, legal expenses, plus furniture. That will be $170,206. But before we continue, let me explain how you will be paying that 50%. So here is how the payment plan works. You reserve the property with $5,000. The down payment is 20%, which you have to make that payment in 60 days. And those $5,000 that you reserve your property, they deducted from that 20%. Next 30%, you pay that in monthly payment during the construction. So once the construction is complete, you have technically paid already 50%. So the remaining 50%, you can either pay the cash at the end or finance that 50% with a bank that you prefer. So now let's go back to the graphic with the remaining 50%, which is $134,450. And if you are not paying that amount in cash at the end of the construction, then you are taking in finance. And if you are taking in finance, here we have projected that you will pay an interest rate of 7% in 15 years. And you will have a monthly payment, $1,141.06. in the case you get this interest rate and this time frame. And keep in mind, this is average, and this is using Scotiabank, but these numbers can vary depending on the bank and depending on your credit score. This is in the case that you have good credit score, if they're giving you 7%. But if the interest rate change and the time frame change, you know that the monthly payment will vary. And here in the Dominican Republic, for mortgages, depending on the bank and depending on your credit score, you can be looking anything from 7% all the way up to 12% in mortgage interest rate. Now moving to item number 3, and this is income outcome analysis. So let's do the short-term rent income. And in low season, rent price will be $220, and in high season, rent will be $300. An average of rent of $260, and that is, remember, this is just a projection, and this will be in an occupancy rate of 55%, which is 17 nights per month. And in that case, you will have a monthly rent income of $4,420. So now let's move on to the expenses. You will have a monthly mortgage payment of $1,141.06. The estimated HOA will be $190. Gas and electricity, $150. Pool and garden maintenance, $100. Water, $35. Internet, around $40. Home insurance, which is not mandatory in the Dominican Republic, around $100. General maintenance and revision, around $175. So property management, which is 25%, will be $1,105. So you will have a monthly expenses of $3,036.06. So now let's move on to item number 4, which is return on investment analysis. And your monthly income will be $4,420, monthly expenses $3,036.06. You will have a cash flow monthly of $1,383.94. Net income yearly $16,607.28. So your return on investment in this project will be 9.76%. And remember, these numbers right here are projection, and they taking those numbers based on other different projects around the area. And remember, these numbers right here is using a occupancy rate projected on 55%, which is 17 nights for the month. And you will have a return on investment of 9.76%. Now, let's see what happens if we change that occupancy rate to 65%, which is 20 nights per month. In this case, you will have a monthly rent income of $5,200, and that will change your cash flow monthly from $1,383.94 to now $1,968.94, and a year income instead of $16,607.28 to now $23,627.28, and a return on investment that before was 9.76%, now is 13.88%. So you can see that your analysis or your cash flow will change depending on how is the occupancy rate in the area. So worst case scenario, you have a bad year. So we're gonna use 45% occupancy rate, which it will be 14 nights per month. And that will give you a monthly rent income of $3,640 per month. So your cash flow will be $798.94, which your net income yearly will be $9,587.28, and a return on investment of 5.63%. So I believe still, worst case scenario is still worth it, the investment. You let me know what you think. So let me add some good news to this projection right here. And it is that the Dominican Republic have a law called Comfort Tour, and that is a law that is applied in project being built in tourist area. And this is they exempt you to pay the 3% transfer taxes that you pay when you buy the property. And the 3% is over the value of the property. And the 1% that you pay every year over properties that are over 7.5 million pesos. So they exempt you that 4% to pay it when you buy that property. And that is in a time frame from 10 to 15 years, depending on what the particular project being approved. And this project Levata has already applied for this benefit, and they just waiting for approval. So when they get approved for this benefit, you will save the $10,756 that we talked about in the beginning for estimated taxes and legal expenses. So this number is gonna be completely removed from the equation. So guys, this is a projection of return of investment for this specific project, which is Levata. And I think these numbers are very important for you to know if you are investing in a project, and especially if you are using it for short term, which is Airbnb. If you are investing in a project, if they don't have that, that will be very good for you to try and to find out these numbers before your investment to see if you have any success. doing your investment. And remember, those number or this projection was based on the area. So if you are using this number, this is our very standard number, but these numbers can change depending on the area that you are, which is for the occupancy rate. We are using a 55% occupancy rate, which is in Punta Cana area. But if you are in another area, this number can change, and also the price per night. So those numbers can vary depending on the area you are. So this is all what I have for right now. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share. And I will see you in my next one.